Look, this isn't going to be another lecture about all the ways smoking can kill you. You already know all that. Instead, this is a look at Allen Carr's method. Think of it as a roadmap, one designed not to scare you, but to show you how to just walk away, happily, and for good. So let's start by taking apart the big paradox that keeps smokers trapped in the first place.
I want you to imagine a guy falling from a 100-story building. As he flies past the 50th floor, he says to himself, "So far, so good." Now, he knows the ground is coming, right? But in that one moment, everything feels totally fine. And that, right there, is the smoker's paradox.
Does that sound a little familiar? Knowing all the risks, knowing what the final outcome is, but still, you light up that next cigarette thinking, it won't be this one that causes the problem. It's like you're in a prison, and it's a prison built around one single question that most smokers never really truly answer.
Okay, so let's get right to the heart of it. We're not going to waste time talking about why you started smoking. Peer pressure, you were curious, whatever. We've all heard it. The only question that actually matters for your freedom is this. Why do you keep smoking? Right now, even when you're desperate to stop.
You know, most smokers think they do it for pleasure, or to handle stress, or maybe it's just a habit. But the truth is, all of those are illusions. You're actually trapped by two very specific forces, a small physical monster and a giant psychological one that's been built up over a lifetime of brainwashing. Let's meet the first one.
So this brings us to the first part of the trap, the nicotine addiction itself. I want you to think of this as the little monster living in your brain. It screams for attention, it feels really powerful, but as you're about to see, its bark is way, way worse than its bite.
The thing about nicotine is that it's incredibly sneaky. It is the fastest-acting addictive drug we know of. A single puff from a cigarette gets a hit of nicotine to your brain faster than a shot of heroin in a vein. It's also literally a poison. They use it in insecticides. That very first cigarette you ever smoked kicked off a chemical chain reaction.
And this shows you exactly how this cycle works. Because nicotine gets into your system fast, it also leaves fast. In just 30 minutes, half the nicotine from your last cigarette is already gone. After an hour, 75% of it is gone. And that rapid drop is what creates that antsy, empty feeling, you know the one, the craving for another fix.
But listen, here's the most important part. Those withdrawal symptoms, they're almost all in your head. There is no real physical pain. It's just a slight empty feeling, almost like being hungry. Your body is basically hungry for the very poison that's killing it, and the next cigarette just temporarily scratches that itch. So you're not actually getting relief. You're just getting back to the normal, peaceful state that a non-smoker lives in all the time.
So, what's the good news here? Well, the physical fight with that little monster is incredibly short. In just 3 weeks, your body will be 99% nicotine-free. That's it. The physical battle is a sprint, not some endless marathon. But if the little monster is actually that weak, why is quitting so hard? Well, it's because the real enemy is something else entirely.
All right, now we have to confront the big monster. This is the powerful brainwashing that creates all of smoking's illusions. It's this whole web of myths you've been sold your entire life, the ones that make you believe a cigarette is your friend, or a crutch, or some great pleasure. So let's start tearing it all down.
Oh man, this is probably the biggest myth of them all. We've seen it our whole lives in movies, right? The hero takes a long drag to calm their nerves. We are taught to believe that smoking is a tool for relaxation.
But the reality is the complete opposite. Nicotine is a chemical stimulant. It actually raises your heart rate and your blood pressure. The only stress a cigarette relieves is the stress of nicotine withdrawal, which the cigarette created in the first place. Non-smokers don't even have that stress, so their normal, baseline level of relaxation is way higher than a smoker's.
Okay, here's another really common one. This idea that when you really need to focus on something, a cigarette helps you lock in.
And again, it's a total illusion. Smoking literally clogs your veins and arteries, which starves your brain of the oxygen it needs to work well. That tiny distraction of craving a cigarette is what actually breaks your concentration. So when you light up, you're not boosting your focus, you're just temporarily stopping the distraction that the addiction created. It's like trying to put out a fire with gasoline.
So we've identified the enemy, right? A pretty weak little monster and a really powerful big monster that's built on a pile of lies. By understanding exactly how this trap works, the way out becomes clear, it becomes simple, and believe it or not, it becomes surprisingly easy.
And this, by the way, is why other methods usually fail. If you try to cut down, you just make each cigarette you do smoke seem more precious, like this amazing treat, which only makes the brainwashing stronger. And substitutes like vapes or nicotine gum, they just keep the little monster of addiction alive, feeding it a different way. You haven't escaped the prison. You just moved to a different cell.
And that brings us to the easy way itself. It boils down to just 2 instructions. First, make a final, concrete decision that you will never ever smoke again. And second, don't be miserable about it. Rejoice. You might be thinking, wait, that's it? And yeah, you'd be right. Because once you truly get that there is nothing to give up, these 2 simple steps become the key that unlocks the cage. Okay, this brings us to the final and most important part. Welcome to your freedom. This isn't just about stopping an action. It's about getting into the right mindset from the very second you put out your last cigarette.
So, when you feel that little empty craving during those first few weeks, you have to completely change how you see it. That feeling is not pain. That is the feeling of the little monster dying. It's the feeling of your body healing itself. Every single one of those pangs is a little moment of victory. You should welcome it, smile at it, because it means you are winning.
So, before you have your final cigarette, I want you to check in with yourself. Ask yourself 2 questions. 1, am I truly confident that I'm going to succeed? And 2, am I feeling sad and deprived, or am I feeling genuinely excited to be free? If you feel any doubt or any sense of doom, don't quit just yet. Go back, review these ideas until you are genuinely, truly excited to escape. That mindset is everything.
When you're ready, I want you to smoke that last cigarette, but do it consciously. Pay attention to it. And as you put it out, make a solemn, sincere vow to yourself. This isn't you hoping or trying. This is a final decision. From that moment on, you are and will forever be a non-smoker.
And always remember this final thought. Quitting is not a sacrifice. You are losing absolutely nothing because smoking never gave you anything real in the first place. Every single benefit you thought it had was just an illusion. And what are you gaining? Everything. Your health, your energy, your money, your self-respect, your freedom. You're gaining your entire life back.